All right, everyone, welcome back to the podcast. I hope you know by now my name's Finch, and you should definitely know by now that this is Kayla. And of course, we are joined by our good friend Rachel. How are you today?
Doing good. How are you?
Good, 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 good. And we wanted to do a rundown. I guess it's been a couple weeks ago now that we all went to the Minnesota Renaissance Fair together, which was a ton of fun. Anybody out there who's never been to a Ren Fair, do it. 100% do it. So we will just dive right into this thing. Who wants to go first, and what do you want to talk about regarding Ren Fair?
I feel
Well,
like
first of all,
Rachel, yeah, she's the expert.
oh, I'm the expert. What? Okay. Well, I've gone to the Minnesota Ren Fair, I don't know, like 10 times maybe. I got obsessed in like seventh grade or so, I guess. I don't know. But Minnesota Ren Fair, amazing. And I'm so happy you guys came and checked it out. I think it's one of the larger Ren Fairs in the US, but I could be wrong on that. But first of all, I wanted to say like everybody's costumes were amazing and spectacular. Really impressed.
Yeah, I'll let Kayla, because I'm not going to even begin to attempt to explain Kayla's costume, because it was a Renaissance Fair costume, but also a character cosplay.
It was.
So
Yeah, so depending on how you want to pronounce it, if you read the book without knowing the pronunciation, you would say Manon. But if you learned afterwards, it's Manon, which is like the grossest sounding name I think I could ever hear.
I didn't know
It's
that.
just, like, how
How
Manon
can
do
is
you
you know that?
say that?
moist. Manon is moist.
Oh
Yeah.
God. Yeah, like just like how can you say Manon like seductively? Like, and they say that in the book where it's all like flirtatious and everything. I'm like, I can't unlive that. I enjoyed my version of Manon. That sounds much better. But so I did her cosplay, which I kind of threw it together in a very short amount of time, and that's something I want to work on to keep furthering because I was missing like the gold contacts and the nails. And she has like a lot of armor, which is hard unless you're designing and building it yourself or doing something with foam. And for me, just once you hit the adult world and finding time to be creative, that's difficult in itself. But two, when you're coming up with complete original ideas because it's coming from a book, that's even harder. It requires a lot of patience and trial and error that I just didn't have the time for. But overall, I really enjoyed it, and I think it came out pretty good until my big ass head was like, "This wig ain't doing it no more." It was hurting for a while, so I ripped it off. But I think it was still like the overall it underneath and like some like chains. So if anyone hasn't seen my Instagram, you can see it there. I really enjoyed wearing it. I thought it was a lot of fun.
And I'll let you
Yeah,
plug
you
it.
look
That's
so
from a
dope.
book series, right?
Mhm. Yep, the Throne of Glass book series by Sarah J. Maas.
Who Kayla has just a little bit of a crush on. Just a little bit of a crush. Not that I
I
blame
would
her.
give my kidney lady easily.
Oh, I
Yeah.
just finished the Throne of Glass series too. I love it. Manon's one of my favorites, and I think you did an amazing job. I loved your wig. Like,
Thank you.
I'm not really good at like wigs or styling or anything, but yeah, that was really good. I like the lace. So that's also something I'm like trying to get into is like wigs and hair stuff because I'm not good at hair stuff.
It ranges so much. And I've seen like, that's something I guess we haven't talked about a lot is like wigs in general when it comes to cosplay because there's all these different kinds and human hair versus synthetic or there's a blend and then how to actually style them is a whole different situation. But yes, for those who are looking to cosplay to have a very natural looking hairline or as natural as you can make a white wig look, getting a lace front hairline helps a lot. Or if you have similar hair color to whatever it is, you can pull out some of your hair and keep the wig back. That way, it does look very natural. But it takes a lot of practice. And if you know, like Amazon is actually a great place if you type in like lace front synthetic wig. They're the cheapest ones you can get, but a little bit higher quality than just like the basic line wig. And it can really like up your cosplays if that's something you're wanting to have as like a long term cosplay.
Mhm.
But thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, making the like Manon's iron claws, that would be cool. I don't know how you do that though.
I did find some fake nails that were probably like this long, and then they were like clear at the base, so it was like your natural nail, and then it ombre out into like a black metallic. So it looked like it was iron tipped, which is, if anyone's read the series, she has iron nails and actually iron teeth. I wasn't gonna be putting up a grill or anything like that.
Oh, Jesus.
Representing.
My ex was
That
in a
would
book.
be-
What?
Yeah, you gotta catch up. Come on, Finch.
Yeah,
I'm working on
I
it.
know. I tried to convince Finch to read them, and he's on the audiobooks, and I think it started, but it's in a halt. Which, I've convinced 3 people to read the series, and everyone's in the same boat. They started a little bit, and then life happened.
Yeah.
So I'm sad. It's good. Rachel knows.
Yeah, it is. It's super good. I think the last like 3 books are like, that's good.
Yes, I agree 100%.
Well, you guys will know when it happened because eventually, like out of the blue, you're both going to get a text at like 3 a.m. I'm going to be like, bro, it was
And you'll know
so
exactly
good.
when you hit the book that even Rachel and I know what's going on with involves Manon. You know what I'm talking about, the sacrifices. When Finch gets there, that will be the 3 a.m. text that I'm like, I'm gonna care package you some Kleenex, some of your favorite candy, an energy drink, whatever.
I'm just gonna put you on mute. Sorry.
Yeah. But well, yeah, I'll be there to comfort you, but it's gonna be sobbing.
Okay. But again, me being the one who like hasn't read the series, so I know virtually like next to nothing about the character that you cosplayed. But regardless, the cosplay looked phenomenal. I mean, like head to toe. I mean, it looked absolutely stellar. And I've over the little over the year that Kayla and I have known each other, I've seen her in a variety of different wigs, and that one was just like primo.
Oh, I felt if anyone's watching right now, you can see that I'm the whitest out of everybody here. So wearing a white wig, I was a little scared out, but I think it made me look slightly more tan because I wasn't that kind of shade of white. So I did enjoy that.
It definitely made it easy to find Kayla because it was a sunny day at the Renaissance Fair, and we just followed the beam of light emanating from the crowd wherever it was going.
The red cloak.
Yeah, it was like a side quest, like moving around the map. Like, oh, over there, that's where we go. Okay.
I do like that with the bright red cape. Yeah, it was like a beacon.
Yes.
You were easy to find. Yeah.
Yeah.
Rachel, let's talk about yours because your cosplay as well was just phenomenal.
Thanks.
First of all, you got to say all the titles. Can you do it from memory right now?
I memorized it. Well, first of all, Finch and I decided that we were gonna participate in the cosplay contest that they had, and it was just like a little show that we stood up on stage, and I had to memorize. Let's see if I can remember it. Prince Daemon Targaryen, King of the Stepstones in the Narrow Sea, Captain of the City Watch, and
Master of Coin, Master of
Coin, and something. I don't know. First of his name, I don't know. It's a really long title. I memorized it, and then it's gone. So, but yeah. I was Daemon Targaryen. Obsessed with Fire and Blood books right here, actually, and reading that, and then watching, of course, is it House of the Dragon? Love that. So actually, my costume was mostly thrifted except for the wig, and I think I 3D printed Dark Sister, this one. Yeah. 3D printed that and the little clasp of his little tunic. But yeah, that was cool. I found this like dragon fabric jacket, which you wouldn't think you'd find at Savers with a thrift store, which I did, and it was perfect. I didn't even have to like color it or anything. So I put that together with like, I took a black, like long oversized dress and like took it in, changed the shoulders on it and the sleeves, and put the dragon clasp on it. It had like 30 buttons on it when I first bought it. I should really do like before and after stuff because I totally forget to do it. And then I'm like, here's the after. But yeah, I had to take like 30 buttons off and put the little dragon clasp on it. But I think it turned out all right. But yeah.
Yeah, it turned out so well that like at one point in time I was like asking you about it and you were like, "Oh yeah, this is just fabric I got at a thrift store." And I was like, "Shut up." Because it literally
Yeah.
looked like it was, I mean, it was like so good that I,
Thanks.
I never would have guessed that like it was just a thrift store find.
I was super lucky. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, go to Savers is lit. You know, that's the one thing I do miss about like the Midwest is that Savers were everywhere, at least in Minnesota, I guess. I think there was some in Missouri, but especially around Halloween, September, October, a little bit of November maybe, they always had the best stuff. It's like they held on to it for us, and I miss having that just ready supply of cosplay ready things. But that's like even for that is very specific.
Hmm.
Yeah, I actually found the jacket before they like Savers, they changed their like entire store to fit Halloween and they do like a bunch of stuff. But I found it before and I was just like shocked. But so I have a problem with like making stuff like months before and then like never showing anyone. So I made it a while ago. But yeah, it was perfect. A good find indeed. Yeah.
So did you I have to ask, did you repair the sword
Oh
from
yeah,
that
yeah.
day?
It's
Oh,
this one right here. That one. I actually just printed another version of Dark Sister, and I think it is that one. This one. Yeah, so I made a Reddit account just so I could ask this guy for the STL files of the Blackfire, which is this one, which is Aegon Targaryen's sword, and this one, the fan based Dark Sister, which I don't know, I like swords. So all of these are printed on the Creality belt printer. Highly recommend. Actually, like 3 of them, like this one, Witcher one, that one's on pre together like this, to answer your question.
Mhm.
Easy fix, super glue.
Yeah, to give a little bit of background on that. So at one point in time, Rachel and I were just like doing photos. I'm there in my Viking getup, and I've got a shield, and we were trying to do these photos where like she was jumping in the air and like swinging her sword down at me. And at no point in time in this entire like dance did the sword actually touch my shield. But at one point in time, and like mid, like as she was coming out, it just like snapped and flew off. There's a hilarious picture of it, like looking like it's flying at the person taking the picture, the broken end off of it.
I remember seeing the stories on Instagram too, and then it's just like slowly zooming in to Rachel, and it's just like half of it's gone.
I did print it at like 10% infill because I wanted the sword done in time. So that one is, I learned my lesson. I do like 30 to 40% infill on the belt printer now.
Mhm.
Smart, very smart.
Lesson learned, right?
Yes, yep. And maybe not to swing it at people is probably a good lesson.
That's the whole reason you have swords, though. Display and
That's
swing at people. And home defense if you're in Kayla's shoes.
Yeah. Oh,
I
plastic.
think that story before on a podcast of what I did with mine.
I think so, but it's always worth rehashing because it's a hilarious story.
Yeah. Okay, guys, buckle up. So one time we heard something like falling in the house, and it sounded like a thud, but almost like a door getting slammed open. And so I was sleeping, well, getting ready to sleep, and then I wasn't wearing anything. And I was like, oh my God, I'm about to fight an intruder naked. And so I jumped out of bed, and Finch got me the Witcher sword, like a full metal sword for, I think it was like Christmas, right?
Mhm.
Yes. And it was in the office, which I had to trek to. And I was the one who got up. So not my boyfriend who's right next to me. I'm like, I got this. I ran into my office, like fumbled with the sheath, and then like ran back out. And then it turns out it was nothing. But I was like hovering by the door and getting ready to fight people. I'm like, I will blind you with, again, we talked about how I'm a beacon of light. Imagine that coming at you at like 2 a.m. with a sword, and I'm night blind too. So I would be waving it wildly, be like, stay away, foe. And it was really embarrassing. But now I keep that sword in my bedroom, right where my TV is, on like the stand. I keep it right there because otherwise I can just run, grab it, go. But I will use it as a self-defense, which my car was broken into the other day.
Wow.
So yeah, and I was like, I went in there, and my whole console, everything was open, and all my stuff was on the seat, which like I had an old like billfold wallet in there. That was completely empty because I swapped wallets, and like that was on like right out in the display. My like glasses case, which they might have been like this might be Ray-Bans or something, was out there. And then like I feel so bad for those guys who had to go through that though, because all I had was just a lot of boxes of things that had value in them in my car, but nothing actually of value. Just a lot of like receipts and a random plate in case I need one.
It's still frustrating though. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's okay. Like nothing happened, and luckily, like Brian had left my car unlocked. Normally, I lock it, so no damage was done to the car to get into it. Which that would have been concerning. But it makes me feel very good because I usually keep my like whole purse and everything in my car, which I don't do anymore, and I will not be doing ever again.
Yeah. And Kayla, by the way, this whole story with the sword and the quote unquote house break-in happens not long before I went down to go visit and was sleeping in Kayla's guest room. I've never been so terrified to get up and go to the bathroom in the middle of my night for fear that you would hear a noise and come running down the hallway with a sword.
Forget that Finch is here and is wildly.
I actually have a very similar story to you, Kayla. So I was house sitting, and I, of course, being the paranoid person that lives in the country with literally no one around, decided to keep my katana next to me while I slept. And of course, I'm in town and there's houses all around, and I hear this noise, and I'm like, that is definitely someone in the house. So, of course, I take my katana, the real katana, it's metal, and actually it's 300 years old, so I've been told. Anyways, so it's real. And I go down the stairs and I turn the lights on. And here I'm holding a katana, 2 hands, of course. And guess what? There is a raccoon in the house. He broke through the cat door and decided to fight the cat that I was house and cat sitting. It was insane. It was like 3 a.m. and I'm sitting there like pajamas and holding a weapon, a real katana. And there's just a raccoon snarling and fighting with this cat. So that very similar story. At least it wasn't a person.
Yes. That was a more actual like threat though.
I don't know. What I did is that I took a laundry bin and like put it over the raccoon and just like slid it out the front door, because what am I gonna do? I'm not gonna kill a raccoon. The poor guy is just probably getting cat food. But like it was time. It was absolutely insane. And ever since then, I locked the cat door. So, yeah, no.
Oh my God. Yeah, that's scary though, because who knows? I think I've had rabies.
Yeah.
Well, obviously, don't fuck with either me or Rachel if you try to break into our house, because we will bring swords and we will wield them.
Yeah.
Trash pandas beware.
And people beware.
Yes. Okay, so sorry guys, that was a random tangent in our lives. But Finch, tell us about your cosplay of everything, because you had the best, I think, most authentic cosplay that I've seen throughout that whole place.
Yeah, because I looked like I was ready to burn a monastery down, and I was kind of upset that there weren't any there. Yeah, I had this like Viking cosplay that I'd slowly been working on, slowly adding to. Had the leather breastplate, had the boots, had a shield that I made, was a real wood Viking shield with a steel boss on the front of it. Had my Viking axe that I made, which the head of which is 3D printed. And I just want to say that this past summer I went to Bristol Ren Fair in Kenosha, Wisconsin, and then Minnesota Ren Fair, and both times me walking in with that axe was a security concern, and I had to be pulled aside and have it checked out, because apparently, I'm not trying to brag, I am bragging, I did that good of a job of making it look like metal that they were very concerned that I was attempting to bring this thing inside.
I think you were stopped, like 10 people. 10 people stopped you too during Minnesota Ren Fair and was like, hey buddy, I don't think you should have that pointing out. It was like sticking out like that.
Yeah, I did make it with the sword and it on my back. That's one thing about Minnesota Ren Fair, is that they did let me go in with it, and I had a back sheath for it, and they zip tied it in there. But the problem is that it was like semi-sticking. The amount of times I jabbed Rachel with that thing, because I totally forget that it's there, and I'd go to turn, I'd be like, hey, Rachel.
Yeah, smack right in the face. I probably shouldn't have a neck by now.
Right.
But
yeah.
At least yours was strong enough, whereas my sword broke. Yours did not.
That is very true. And I want to go back to something that Rachel said earlier, where she said Finch and I decided to join or enter into a cosplay contest. That's not how it went. Rachel convinced me to do it because she's like, the bar's really low. You'll definitely win. So
I said not many people show up. Okay.
Right. Yeah, and then this girl shows up with one of the most outrageously awesome cosplays I had ever seen in my life. It was from the Neverending Story. I can't remember the character's name, but she had like the creature thing like wrapped around her and over her shoulder, and her arm was up inside of like controlling the mouth and head of this thing. Like the second I saw her, I almost like dropped out. Like, forget it. Like, give it to her 100%.
Yeah, she was like 10 years old, and her dad helped her make silicone arms. So she had like fake arms in front of her, and her real arms were in the puppet. It was so cool.
Mm-hmm.
I was really jealous. I'm like, hey, you want to help me make something?
Yeah, and it was either that or the Mountain Dew guy. There was a guy there dressed as a knight. All of his armor made from Mountain Dew boxes. And if anybody who's known me for any amount of time and knows how much I love Mountain Dew, I was looking at that guy like he was my long lost love. Like, oh God, it was amazing.
Again, I remember that photo you posted to Instagram, and you're like, you were smitten with
Just
him.
hard eyes, yeah.
I know, and I didn't even realize it. I don't remember who it is who took the picture from the crowd of all of us standing up on stage. But I had that picture, and I never even paid attention to myself in the photo. I just texted it to a friend of mine. I'm like, "Hey, dude, you got to check out this guy's Mountain Dew armor." And he texted me back. He says, "Yeah, and you look like you want to marry him," because I was just like, like I was eyeing him up and down. Gonna crack that man open later. But so yeah, it was my first cosplay competition though, and that was a ton of fun. Got to plug the podcast in front of the crowd, and that was pretty dope.
Yeah, no, that it was fun to see everybody go up and do their thing. And like there's a lot of people who did needlework, they did sewing, stuff like that, where they made all their own dresses, which I thought was pretty impressive. I wasn't expecting to see like there's at least like a strong 3 or 4 out of everybody who did that, and like you could tell that they did a really good job. I was not expecting that. But yeah, that I feel like the cosplay contest was a lot of fun, and then the jousting was really cool, being able to see that go down. That was my first time seeing jousting in general. I miss the cheese curds as well, and the turkey leg.
Those are pretty good, yeah. Yeah, the jousting, they do full armor, full contact jousting on horses, and then they take real swords and hit each other. It's pretty great.
Yeah, they don't break.
No,
yeah,
they don't.
They're real. Yeah.
In comparison to the movies too, they move a lot slower than what you're used to seeing, like and then
TV.
just clank, clank, clank. I loved it though. It was really cool, and I got some like slow-mo footage of it as well.
Oh, that's cool. That would have been a good idea. I didn't think of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was a ton of fun. I don't know how many listeners out there are Ren Fair regulars. This was, I've been to Minnesota Ren Fair multiple times. For Kayla, it was her first time to Minnesota Ren Fair, even though she was born and raised in Minnesota. She had to get on a flight from Tampa all the way up to Minnesota,
across the country,
to come back to her homeland to go to a Ren Fair with us. For Rachel and I, it was our second Renaissance Fair this summer. We also did Bristol Ren Fair earlier. That was also a ton of fun. The biggest thing I can say that I am so thankful for that Renaissance Fair that the three of us went to is the weather cooperated. Oh my Lord, that being middle of September and it being in the Midwest, I was worried for months ahead of time that it'd be like one of those like 105-degree days where you're just standing out in the sun and the dust melting. But it ended up great. It was what, like mid 70s, something like that.
Yeah, surprisingly, yeah.
I got
I think for Bristol it was actually 105 degrees, and the difference, like I had to shed. I was Ivor from Assassin's Creed, could not stand the heat on Bristol on that. So for wearing like full length clothing, like full length arms and stuff for Minnesota's and 70 degrees, I was so happy. A little sweaty, but not 100 degrees out. Because Midwest, if it's 100 or even like 80 degrees, it's actually humid and you're soaking. It's so gross. But
I feel that. Yeah, my first one ever was in St. Louis, and I think it was closer to the 90s, and I was wearing a corset, and that was a bad decision because I was like, I want to look cute and have a good time, and I was like, I can't breathe, and also like your skin expands with the sweat and the heat, and I was like, I can't get it off, and then trying to go pee, digging in, it was just a whole dress
That sounds
logically. And strategically, yes. Oh my God. But yeah, no matter where you go, it's probably gonna be hot. I think they have Tampa's like in February. So that would be a nice time. I'll have to send you guys pictures if I go there.
it's still
Yeah.
Florida though, so it's still going to be hot.
I know. Yes, it will be.
I'm glad they're having it in February because gosh, we've been really lucky with those. You went to that time you were at Bristol Ren Fair, Rachel, and it was really hot. That was not that was a different time than the time when you and I went. The time when you and I went, it was actually fairly decent. It was like mid 80s, I think. It wasn't terrible.
I couldn't take it. It was terrible. It was hot. It was too hot.
And let me
but
tell
I did
you,
go to Minnesota's earlier before with like the opening weekend, and that I had chainmail on and I had like a swimsuit underneath it, and I had to take the chainmail off because it was so hot. It was literally burning me. And I had all these like little ring marks on me because the sun and I should have put sunscreen, but I had sunscreen on. I should have put more sunscreen on. But yeah, both times, both Bristol and the first time at Minnesota, I can't handle the heat. It's way too hot.
Yeah, they live up north.
Yeah. Yeah, we all have the blood of the Starks running through our veins, the blood of the Northmen, and that is the one downside I will say to going to most Renaissance fairs. There's no place to go inside and air conditioning and cool off in the middle of it. And typically your car is parked like 3 farm cornfields away. And when it's hot and dusty, it is just it can be miserable. So I am so thankful that we nailed that one on a day of really good weather.
It's part of the authenticity, sweating in the heat.
Yes. Smell of sweat in the air.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So I think that'll kind of bring us to a close on talking about Ren Fair. It was a ton of fun. I really hope we all get a chance to do it again next year. I guess it won't be too terribly difficult for Rachel and I to meet up for one. We just need to get Kayla's butt on another airplane.
If anyone wants to start a GoFundMe for all these tickets, feel free.
Or we go visit her in February.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah.
That would be fun. Yeah, I just looked it up too. I think it said February through April. Although I'd probably encourage February versus April. It's gonna be much better weather then.
Hot or hotter. Yeah.
Right, exactly. I know. I was looking though, I think it could potentially get in like the 60s and 50s in February. So that actually might be pretty doable. But if you're flying with a lot of supplies, that's the hard part. That's what we had to kind of manage. What can fit in a suitcase without being questionable?
Mm-hmm.
A sword, full suit of armor, casual stuff. I swear, it's just a prop.
Yeah, I'm just gonna ship all my stuff to Kayla ahead of time and then ship it back afterwards because that'll be the
smart idea.
But February Ren Fair in Florida for Rachel and I would be amazing because we'd be getting on flights in an area where it's like 5 degrees out, landing in the 60s. 20. It'll feel like oh my Lord, it's so warm.
I do declare it is hot.
Oh, but yeah, we had a ton of fun, everybody involved. And we had a crew. Of course, Rachel was there with her boyfriend Mike. Kayla, her boyfriend Brian was there, my wife Jamie was there. We also met up with her friend Amanda and her husband Mitch. Yeah, we kind of had a little traveling troupe going on there, and we had several great pictures that we posted on Instagram, but I'll definitely make sure that, the YouTube version of this, as you guys have seen, I've posted, you've already seen the pictures now that I'm already talking about them now. But yeah, it was a ton of fun, and yeah, we're definitely going to look forward to doing more.
Yeah. Thanks for being here, Rachel. We had a great time meeting you. I got to meet you for the first time at Ren Fair, which was awesome. And hopefully we will have many more ahead of us.
Yeah, thanks for having me on and for meeting me in person.
Absolutely. Next time we'll relive that fight, and hopefully your sword doesn't break this time. And
I'll bring a real
put a
one.
metal
this
rod
time.
in it.
yes,
There
yes,
you go.
we're gonna go hardcore on this thing. All right, well, we are out of here, folks. Thanks for listening to our Ren Fair ramblings, and we'll see you another time.